Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I am recording this actually on my birthday, but I have brought the gift to you guys. I am so excited for today's guest and episode, and I really want to get right into it, but an introduction is required. Now, if you've been a longtime listener of the show, you know I love talking about sales mindset and the law of attraction. And it just so happens that Maria Bayer is the OG of sales and mindset in the wedding industry, and she is here today. She has been guiding wedding professionals to multi 6 and 7 figure success for over a decade. Before it was trendy and everyone was doing it, saying they do it in reels, Maria was actually doing it. As the creator of Irresistible Selling, the longest standing and most trusted program in the wedding industry, she pioneered the integration of sales strategy and mindset coaching before it became mainstream. And that's why I'm so excited for her to talk to us today. Her clients don't just join a program, they become part of a legacy that elevates their business and opens doors to unparalleled opportunities. So make sure you listen to the end because we'll talk about joining Maria's programs. Maria has curated a decade-strong community where every member speaks a language of success, and connection is not just a perk, it's a pulse. Did you hear that? I mean, come on. Maria's clients consistently break boundaries, achieving dramatic sales growth, commanding premium fees, and standing confidently in their worth. Maria infuses her vast experience, including high-value negotiations with giants like Target and Best Buy, into actionable strategies that give her clients a competitive edge. So there is no client that's going to come in and think they're going to heckle your price down that you're not going to be able to handle. With Maria, it's not just about making sales, it's about shaping industry leaders. In her Facebook mastermind community, Learn, Collaborate, Flourish, which I'm also in, and as a national speaker and author, Maria continues to uplevel the wedding industry. From Chicago beginnings to embracing the Arizona desert, she thrives on community and fostering a space where wedding professionals expand their belief in what's possible and are given the tools to make it a reality. Maria, if I didn't have to do this interview right now, I'd just be going to log into all your programs, signing up right now.
Well, good. Then it's doing its job.
Yes, yes. How is it in Arizona today?
Oh, it's warm. It's warm. In
Beautiful.
fact, I did some hiking this morning first thing because you got to get up before the sun gets high in that sky because it's already in the 90s here.
I was going to ask, it's like your 3 weeks of spring already gone.
Yeah. We've had a beautiful spring. I can't complain, especially coming from Chicago. This is beautiful weather and I love it. Love it.
I think that appreciation of your environment is probably going to come into play as we talk about your mindset work and the law of attraction. So I kind of want to get right in because I love the law of attraction. I was introduced to it from the woman herself, Oprah, long ago when she just had her daytime show. But how would you describe the law of attraction for someone who's never heard of it before?
Oh, that's such a good question because I think everybody takes something different away from it. The law of attraction to me is at its simplest that your thoughts become your reality and that you can change your reality. Your reality is actually your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. And that's why I like to think of it because how you think and what you believe and the actions you take and the things that you do and say actually create your reality. And when I discovered that years ago through, Oprah as well, back in the day, it was like a lightning bolt to me. I had been searching for it for years and didn't know what I was searching for, but I knew that there was something to this. And at that time, it wasn't even called law of attraction. It was just whatever. I don't even know what it was called. But when I discovered it and I heard Rhonda Byrne and then I listened to The Secret, which I've now listened to, I tell my clients all the time, like I've probably listened to it at least 30 times, if not more. And I can listen to like any piece of it at any time and get inspiration. But it to me really just put a label and a name and a concept around something I had known in my soul was something, but there wasn't a name to it. And now there is.
So funny you mentioned The Secret because I know we both are fans of it. And yesterday, my library outside of the library has where you can leave and pick up free books, and a copy of The Secret was there. And
Mm.
of course, my instinct was I need it, but I was like, I can't wait to find out. I wish I could find out who's going to discover this book, who's going to grab it, who's going to take it home, and whose life is going to change because somebody left a copy of The Secret for free at the library. It's
Yes, it's
such a
it's one of
powerful.
my very favorite books and one that I tell my clients to read all the time. And I actually prefer the audio because this particular audio, if you listen to audiobooks, like I'm an audiobook junkie, they are typically read either by the author or by some guest reader, whatever they're called. But this has actually all the people that are in The Secret speaking. So it's almost like you're watching a TV show. And I love it because I can hear their voices. And when I think of the different phrases, I hear it in the author's voices, the people that have actually said it. And for those of you that haven't, read it or listened to it, it's Rhonda Byrne talking to all different teachers throughout the world about their experience with the law of attraction and what it means to them and how you actually practice it in your everyday life.
Yes, I'm hearing some of them right now as you say it. I can hear the guy going, out of no way and nowhere
Exactly.
a path, because like you start to hear it over and over again. I
Yes.
think as
Yes.
what I liked about The Secret is first it becomes kind of like that low dangling fruit of like I could use this to get a car or I could use this to get some extra money, but then you start to go, wow, I could use this to improve my business. I could
Yes.
use this to get better clients. So, how is the law of attraction and mindset? How do you incorporate that into your sales strategy?
Oh, that's a really great question. So, if you think about the law of attraction, it is at its simplest that you can create your reality through, and it usually starts with your thoughts, right? So, at least with the way I teach my clients, I kind of I'm not all the way woo, right? But I'm also not all the way practical. I like to marry the two and make it accessible to people so that it's not so woo that people are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
And I
because
can
you're
remember
still
when I
talking numbers and strategy, but other elements
yes.
too. I like that.
Yes, because I can remember my earliest clients saying, "What is this woo stuff you're teaching us?" And I'm like, "Believe me, this is not even woo. There's a whole level of woo." But this works. I can't explain to you why it works. I can't prove to you why it works. All I know is that it does. And I'm going to share with you how I make it work in my life and how that's translated to all areas of my life. But let's talk about how it affects your business. So for me, I like it to start with let's just set a goal. What are your goals? And a lot of times people don't even have goals or aren't really specific about their goals. So I like to marry what I learned in the corporate world about creating goals and then what I know from the law of attraction about making your reality happen. So I kind of marry the two. And for me, it means understanding what your goals are and being honest enough to say, this is what I want. I want to work with these types of clients, for example. I want to have, I mean, it could be something as simple as I want to make this much in revenues this year, right? Or I encourage my clients to get more specific and say, these are the types of clients I want to work with. And for me, that means, or for my clients, what it means is I want to work with people that don't haggle me. I want to work with people that see my value. I want people that will allow me to be the creative person here and not just dictate everything that I do. I want to really be able to express my creativity because let's be honest, a lot of people in the wedding industry didn't go into the industry because they specifically wanted to be a business owner. A lot of them went into it because they just have a passion for photography or a passion for planning or a passion for flowers or calligraphy or whatever it is. So for me, I like to have it extend to what do you want your clients to be like? How do you want to feel in your business? How do you want to feel when you wake up every day? How do you want to feel about your team? Do you want to have a team? Do you want to have a boutique business? So for me, it starts with what do I actually want? And not just numbers, even though I'm a numbers girl and I teach people sales. So that inherently leads itself to how much do you want to make? But I want to dial it in and be more specific about how do you want those clients to be? Because I actually was raised in a generation that you were just happy to have a job, and you were just thankful that you had something and that you felt like you're being too greedy, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's what I was thinking, but it's a negative word, so I didn't want to use it. But
Yes.
that is the impression that it's given when you keep kind of striving, or when you believe something better is out there and everyone else doesn't. Or like, why can't you
Yes.
be pleased with what you have?
Yes. And that's a big deal because all of our preconceived ideas, all of our beliefs that were either instilled upon us as children or we absorbed through our environment, through our families, through our networks, whatever, that has a huge impact on the law of attraction, right? That impacts what your reality looks like. And for me, especially when I discovered the law of attraction, I realized, oh, it's not just important to say what I want, but be honest about what I want. Because before I thought I was being too greedy if I asked for too much, right? That I was somehow being judged for that. But you also have to realize everybody has a backstory and everybody has their beliefs that they come from, whether those are what you would perceive as right or wrong, but they either help you or hurt you in achieving your goals. For the context of that we're talking in now, I like to talk to my clients about, what are some of those beliefs that you are telling yourself? What are some of those scripts that you are hearing on repeat in your head that are hurting you reaching your goals?
Yeah, I've got a few that I know our listeners are thinking of. They're going,
Yes,
well, in my area, there's too much competition, or
exactly.
people want a more affordable photographer and people will do it for nothing and people are okay with that. Or I can't charge that where the region I work, or I don't have enough experience. So, what would
Mhm.
you say to somebody who's coming up with all those roadblocks where they're trying to write their list and they're going, I'd like this type of client, but then their mind goes, but that doesn't exist for me.
Yes. So the first thing I tell them is that's just a story that you're telling yourself. So I like to infuse science, psychology, I like to throw everything I have at it. And I think that's part of the benefit of studying different things and different subjects so that you can bring a more well-rounded picture to your clients. So the angle that I take is when you believe something, first of all, when did you start believing that? Right? Most of us learn that as children. Most of us either heard something or that was our family's values or their phrases. You hear a lot of that in The Secret. I think Jack Canfield talks about how his father said, what do you think we are, Rockefeller? So
Money
that
doesn't grow on trees.
yes, money doesn't go on trees, all of those things. So you absorb that and whether you're conscious of it or not, that is your belief system about money or about rich people or about sales or about charging more, et cetera. So what I like to tell people who have that kind of chatter going on in their brains, like I can't raise my prices because, or I can't charge more because, or I can't book these clients because, fill in the blank with anything, it doesn't matter. Our brains are designed for homeostasis. Our brains are designed to keep us safe. That is what they are designed to do. Our brain is like a computer. And without going down the rabbit hole of science, but suffice it to say that your brain will do everything it can to keep the status quo, right? So if the status quo is what you already believe and what is safe for you, and safe can be anything really. It's just what is normal to you, like what you're used to. And if you're used to those types of comments in your head, right? Even if it's unconscious or subconscious, that's what your brain is going to look for. It's going to look for evidence that corroborates that belief. So the first step is understanding that that's your thought and not necessarily judging it, right? Not judging yourself because we do a really good job of judging ourselves
Yeah.
on the regular.
Don't
So
need help with that.
don't need any extra help. So let's just recognize that it is a thought. And I remember my therapist telling me years ago, feelings are not facts. So That's the other thing to think. Feelings are not facts. Thoughts are not facts necessarily, right? And just because your brain is telling you that does not make it so. So understanding that that is just something that your brain is telling you doesn't make it true. So that's the first thing. So it takes some of that shame away from it or that judgment away from it. And then realizing that that's its job. It's there to keep you safe. So, of course, it's going to tell you that. Of course, it's going to look for evidence, right? Look at this person over there. They're not charging more than you. That's because they don't have as much experience, et cetera. So, it's going to look for evidence to prove you correct. But the second step is to realize that, you know what, that's not necessarily a fact. I'm going to choose something else that is more supportive. Then I encourage my clients to create something, whether it's a mantra or an affirmation or something that's very short and easy to remember, to start changing those neural pathways, because that's really what it is. Your brain is so used to responding to situations and to questions in an automatic way that you have to change that neural pathway. And the way to do that is, at least for me, one of my hacks for doing that is I create a different, more supportive mantra that I can remember on the fly. And one of them, I'll give you an example of years ago, I used one that was things always work out perfectly for me. Things
Love it.
always work
Yeah.
out perfectly for me. So it became something easy and quick that I could say on the regular as soon as I caught myself with that old pattern of thought and saying, oh, this isn't going to work out, or I can't do that. I replaced it with something else. And that started changing that neural pathway. And so that's what I mean when I say I like to throw science at it. I like to throw psychology at it as much as I can to help my brain understand, like, this is how we change it. And this is how we make our reality happen.
I love that. And what I love about saying, all is well or everything is always working out for me, when I do get those roadblocks and let's say a client doesn't book, I tell myself, well, that means they weren't aligned with what was on my wish list of the type of client I want, and I'm able to create that safety because I think what I've learned, and maybe your clients have experienced this, sometimes what my brain viewed as safe wasn't necessarily positive. 10 years
Mhm.
ago, having $100 in my bank account, that's it, felt safe. That's what I was
Yes.
used to. And having more money felt scary.
Yes.
And that became a whole process of how to, embrace the fear of wealth,
Yes. And actually, Gay Hendricks would call that your upper limit,
the big leap,
right?
right? Is
Yep.
that
The big leap. Exactly. Exactly. So it's important to replace that with something that's more supportive, but also the other source of proof that I think is important for your brain to see. That's why social proof is so important, right? And so powerful. Social proof is probably one of the most powerful things. And so what I like to help foster in my community is we have what we call ring the bell.
Mhm.
And ring the bell is something that they do in sales organizations. So I took that concept from my software life, my
Like
software
selling
sales.
Sunset when they sell a house and they
Yes,
ring the bell?
exactly. In fact, I have that GIF in my group. Yes,
Ah!
he's ringing the bell. So I introduced that concept over 10 years ago to my community. And I said, anytime you have a win, even if that win is saying no to a client that you would have said yes to before, I want you to ring that bell, because using principles from the law of attraction, that which you celebrate multiplies. So I want you to get in the habit of celebrating your wins, big and small, because that will beget more things to celebrate. So we're trying to infuse the law of attraction, but also at the same time, normalizing celebrating yourself, because we are the first ones to not celebrate
Mm.
ourselves or to say, oh, I did this, but you know what? I didn't do this as well as I could have, or I should have done that. That's how we're so used to, that's our normal state of being, because we're very driven people and driven, business owners, but we have to create a safe space where we can also celebrate. And for me, whenever I do something like that, there's always multiple reasons why I do it, because it works on multiple levels. So I'm trying to use the law of attraction in our favor, but also normalize, celebrating yourself and actually saying, you know what, I did something really amazing here. I booked a client, for example, my highest paying client ever. Or, hey, I booked a client on the spot. Or, hey, I booked the most aligned client I've ever booked in my career, this one was so easy, or hey, I raised my prices, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. I want you to celebrate it.
I love that you have a community for this because I've tried to implement it in my own life. And I hate to say it, but sometimes I'll share this good news with a group of friends and it's like crickets. They don't
Mhm.
really care. So having this community where it's going to continue to foster the positive feelings, because then
Yes.
when I share it in an unsafe place, it creates almost negativity. Like I need to, oh, I shouldn't talk about this, or oh, it
Right.
makes them upset. But instead, you have this safe place people can go to celebrate these wins while getting the tips and everything else.
Yes. Yes. And I think too, it's also important to see what's possible and in a safe environment. Because sometimes we read things and we're like, we just get jealous or we think it's not possible for us. So I want my clients to see their colleagues, people that are just like them, maybe with less experience than them or less whatever, fill in the blank than them, and they're making it happen. And if they see that it's available and possible for them, my goal is for them to feel that it's possible for them as well.
I love that it's kind of like social proof in the opposite way. Like it doesn't have to relate to you. Like for me, seeing someone less experienced booked a social media package for more than what I was doing, that's what it took me to feel comfortable charging that and
Yes.
getting it. So it wasn't even my own social proof. It was somebody else's that I
Yes.
then used to get this inspiration. So for people listening, because I know a lot of people bring up to me their kind of discomfort with sales and maybe they don't feel great going into sales calls or their process.
Mhm.
What tips do you have for that?
Oh, I love it. I could talk about this
Yeah.
all day. So you just stop me when we
Yeah.
need to stop. But um, so for me, the way I discovered mindset and just the whole power of mindset, even before quote unquote law of attraction, and I discovered that was when I went into sales, I was in software sales. And the first job I had, I failed miserably. I got laid off. And then I went to another company. Thank God they took me. And I had a manager that was just phenomenal, wonderful. And I had some preconceived ideas of what selling was, right? Like if I was really good, then I'd have to be able to sell to anybody. And that's not correct. I mean, that might be someone's level of, acumen, but to me, that did not align with my values. He taught me that you can be you. You don't have to be the stereotypical salesperson, right? What we've all been taught is the way to sell. And to me, that's very one-sided. It's very pushy, salesy, manipulative, etc. So it was really, really like life-changing for me to talk to someone that I respected who told me, you can leverage your strengths, Maria. You do not have to be like maybe some of your peers that are selling. I worked with a lot of men at the time and they sold a different way than I did. And he said, you don't have to be like them. And so that was a relief to me and like permission to be me and not have to be fake because there is anything that my body rejects, it's fake. So it just isn't how I was brought up. It isn't who I am at my core. And I can't be fake. I can't be manipulative. I can't lie. I can't do any of that stuff. It's just not who I am. So back up a little bit. While I was working for him, I realized I was driving in my car one day and I was like, why are my results up and down? Like one month I do really well. Next month, my sales were, in the crapper. And then I realized, like literally like a lightning bolt from heaven, I just had this knowing, right? This idea in my head. It's your mindset. It's because you still think selling is slimy.
Yeah, and that comes up all the time that people
Yes.
feel slimy, whether it's live on the call, doing an Instagram post, etc.
Yes, because it feels disingenuous, right? The way we've been taught historically has been very disingenuous. Been very manipulative. And yes, I understand that and believe that you should understand psychology, right? You should understand how people make decisions so that you can work with that instead of against it. So I do believe in that, but I don't believe in manipulating people. But for me, the connection was, oh my gosh, I have a mindset up here that still tells me that selling is slimy. So, of course, what happens? Your body wants to maintain homeostasis, right? So, it's going to self sabotage. And that's why it's important to understand what are those messages going on in your head that are for most of us very just regular, like you're hearing that every day, but you may not even be realizing it might be completely subconscious. So it's important for you to understand that. But literally when I had that connection and, in the car, and I thought, oh, so I just need to change my idea that selling doesn't have to be slimy. That's where my manager came in and helped me realize that I don't have to be that stereotypical salesperson, thank God, because I said, if I can't do it the way that feels comfortable, I got to find a different line of work. I just can't do this. So thankfully, I figured that out. I started being myself. I started being a customer advocate and leaning into my strengths, which was relationship building. And to this day, that's really what I focus on in terms of teaching my clients how to sell. It's building that relationship, right? But with lots of structure and strategies around it, but not being who you're not, right? I
Yeah.
want to be who I am. I want to leverage my strengths. And so once I realized that my thoughts really affect my reality, and once I was able to align my thoughts with my goals, that's when my results skyrocketed. And within 12 months, I tripled my income,
Wow.
made six figures, and I was pretty young. I was under 30, making six figures, which at that point I was like pretty thrilled about. And I went on to book 25 million in sales.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's like
So
the tangibles that start to make people go, okay, maybe I'll check out these techniques, you know?
right, right. Because it made all the difference. Because until I recognized that I still had this belief about selling that it was gross, that of course I was going to self-sabotage because I did not want to believe that I was that kind of person.
Right,
So
right.
I'd either have to change who I was as a person and become that slimy person to be good at it, or I had to change my belief about selling. That to me was everything. And that to me, rocket mindset is rocket fuel for your goals.
Mm.
And that's what made the difference because I can teach you everything I know about selling and about sales. And I can give you all kinds of strategies that I learned selling to some of the biggest companies in the world, but it won't matter if you don't believe that it's possible for you, if you don't believe that you're worthy of it, if you don't believe that you can charge more.
I see this in just the interactions we've had that, and this is something you teach about, that selling is serving. Because really, everything you do comes from a place of helping others. So
Yes.
imagine what it would be like for a wedding professional taking a sales call from the frame of mind of, I'm going to help these people,
Yes.
And then
Yes.
how do we turn coming from a good place into something where we're also feeling good about what we charge for it?
Yeah. It's a great question. So, one of the first things that I teach my clients is to look at selling differently. Most of us think of selling in that stereotypical old school way that is pushy, manipulative, et cetera, all the things that we associate with bad selling. But everyone is selling, first of all. You're always selling, whether you have a product or service or you're a business owner or not. You're selling an idea. You're selling your opinion. You're selling your beliefs. You're selling why you should go to this restaurant instead of this restaurant, And if you doubt that, just ask any child because they're the best salespeople on the planet because
Yeah, it's just
they
like
will
I
sell
sell to my
you.
husband all the time.
Yes, mommy, we want to go to Disneyland,
Yeah.
or I should stay up later, or I want that ice cream. Everyone is selling. Selling is really just communicating. And if you look at selling as, like you said, it's serving, you're serving your client. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that you are a business owner, you are a for profit business. And if you are not in business to make a profit, then you are a charity. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to be honest with yourself. There is no business that you've ever given money to, probably, especially on your daily life. Like you go to Target or you go to Starbucks or you go to Nordstrom or wherever you're going, or you go to United and buy an airline ticket.
Mhm.
None of those people feel bad about asking you for money.
Right.
None of them feel bad about charging you more or raising their prices 30, 40, 50% in the last few years, but we do.
Right, right. And it doesn't even have to be expensive, right? The Dollar Tree doesn't feel bad about the $1.25 it's
No.
charging us, you know? So it doesn't have to be exclusive to the super luxe clients, you know?
Yes, exactly. So understanding that you're in business to make a profit, that goes without saying. So your clients know that and they're coming to you as a business. They want you to be a business owner. They want you to be a profitable business owner so that you don't go out of business. They're going to you because you have something that they need and that they want. So that's first thing. So understand that they're coming to you for that. You're not even going out and soliciting them. They're coming to you,
Right,
which is
right.
not even typical in most sales situations. Like I never had a client come to me and say, I want to buy your stuff. It was always me cold calling and going and looking for business. So they're coming to you. So it's like a big neon sign. I want your help. So that's the first thing to take into consideration. And then you have to also think about your clients are buying your confidence. You need to be confident in what you're selling, which means you need to realize that what you have and what you bring to the table is valuable and you're bringing value to your clients. And especially in the wedding industry, what's wonderful about it is you are helping them have one of the most memorable days of their life. And maybe you're not curing cancer, but oh my gosh, you're giving them memories and their guests' memories that they will have for the rest of their lives. That's pretty amazing,
Can't put a
right?
price on that.
You cannot put a price on memories that you will have for the rest of your life, especially very, very good memories. So, if you think about it from that perspective, you have to believe that you are valuable, right? And that your service and product has value in order to get your clients to value you. Because if you don't believe in you, your clients are not going to value you and not going to believe in you as well. So it becomes it's first an inside job and you have to believe that you are worth it. And so part of the chicken and the egg from a sales perspective is you want them to be confident. I want my clients to be confident, but they get confident from booking clients. So which comes
Mhm.
first, right? So I like to give them very practical, easy to use strategies where they can go out and use them today, go book a client, build that confidence and keep using some of those strategies so that they can continuously raise their prices and
Right.
charge what they probably should have been charging to
Yeah,
begin with.
I love that. Now, if you can, I know this is probably like a big question, but what's one of the most common mistakes you see wedding pros making in terms of sales?
Oh, it's hard to distill it down to one thing. They're not communicating enough value. I
Hmm.
mean, and that's really a very, very big piece of what I teach is practical ways that you can communicate value and building value with your clients. And that's not always by what you say. Sometimes it's just what by what you do and the process you take them through. The problem is when you don't build value, you sound like everybody else and you force your client to make a decision on price.
Hmm.
So while I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, customers are so cheap now. Customers want to nickel and dime me, blah blah blah." Well, that there's always going to be a segment of the population that is very budget focused, and if you are charging not a lot of money, you're going to be attracting that level of clientele. So you will hear that until you start raising your prices. But for the most part, and I can even cite clients that I had from years ago that started with me when they were brand new
Hmm.
and said, building value actually helps me sell even the price shoppiest of buyers, right? So building more value helps your client pay more.
Yeah.
Right. So I try to give them very practical ways that they can build value, very easy ways that they can build value so that A, they can stand apart from everybody else,
Hmm.
and B, they build value so their clients see why they're worth what they charge. And instead of booking your base package, now they're booking your highest package.
Yeah, that was the first time that I've had this kind of epiphany that by increasing your value, you're increasing the deal the budget shopper's getting, right? Because if you're offering your value is of all these incredible things, then even if your price is raised, $1,000 more than usual, they're still getting a deal because you increase the value,
Exactly.
what you're articulating to
Exactly.
them.
And the other part of it that is more psychology focused is people believe that they need to maybe lower their prices to get more clients. But the opposite is true,
Mhm.
right? So if they want to get into that next level market, if they want to have a clientele that values them, that is willing to pay more for it because they pay for excellence, they have to understand the psychology of that buyer. That buyer does not respond to in a positive way or look for deals. So a lot of times people in the wedding industry, there's lots of great educators out there and they're consuming a lot of this education and that's great, but you also have to realize which strategies are good for which level of clientele. And a lot of times the strategies are focused to people that are at maybe that low budget level or medium budget level, but as you start moving up in budgets or in clientele, like you want to reach maybe a luxury clientele. And there's a lot of intermediate steps before you even technically hit luxury. But even a 5-figure client might not be considered luxury, but it's certainly more than what a lot of people are charging. You have to understand the psychology of that buyer. And oftentimes, most often, we are not that buyer. So the way they think is not the way you think.
Mhm.
So you might be motivated by a sale or by a discount, but they are not. In fact, one of my biggest strategies that I share with my clients is if you really want to reach a next level audience, you have to charge more. Because if you are not charging enough, you will lose the client because they'll look at you and say, oh, why is she or why is he priced so low? There must be
Right.
something wrong. They must not have the experience. They must not be confident. They must not be as good as these other people because price is a differentiator. And price, whether we agree with it or not, buying psychology is price equates to value. So if
Right.
you see a higher price tag, you're going to equate more value with it. And
Mhm.
so that's why it's important to understand what are these strategies that I'm using in my business? And is this more for a lower budget clientele, or is this really geared towards people that I'm looking to, work with, which might be people that are going to pay me 5 figures per wedding, et cetera.
Fantastic. Maria, before I get into our rapid fire bonus round, you have a really fun bonus offer that I was hoping you can tell us a bit about for Discover Your Celebrity Persona for booking high-end wedding clients.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So I'd love to share that with your audience. I created a quiz because who doesn't love a quiz,
Yes.
right? But I wanted to make it different than most quizzes out there that are just more entertainment value. I wanted to make it fun, but I also wanted to make it very insightful and very helpful to my clients. And I know that they come from a variety of backgrounds and variety of experience levels. So what I did is I created a quiz that helps you discover basically what are the things that you need to focus on to move the needle in your business. Because let's face it, as business owners, there's no shortage of people telling you should be doing this and you should be
Mhm.
doing that
Yeah.
and you should be on, these 29 platforms and you should be, doing all the things and doing all these speaking engagements, blah, blah, blah.
And you should also sleep 8 hours a day.
Exactly, and be the perfect parent,
Yeah.
right? And have time to jet set around the world.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we can help with that when you raise your prices because then you work with fewer clients. But one of the things I wanted to accomplish with this quiz was to help you zero in on what will move the needle. Because a lot of times, if I'm being completely honest, a lot of people focus, and we're the same. So I'm not going to exclude myself from that because I do the same. Sometimes we do the fun things or the sexy things first. And we don't stop and think, is this really going to move the needle for me? Or is this more of a vanity thing for me? Or is it just an easy checkbox for me? So I wanted to help people say, okay, this is the specific area I need to hone in on because that's going to really change the game for me. Because at least for the people I work with, I really want to focus on people that want to make a monumental shift, right? Big shifts in their income, big shifts in their clientele and in their lifestyle. So that's what this quiz is designed to do is really focus and pinpoint this is the area you need to focus on. Here's some immediate tips. Here's some ways to look at this now. And here's some resources for you.
Great. And anyone listening, if they want to work with you, what's the best way they can reach out?
Love it. So we'll have a lot of links that we can post in the show notes, but you can DM me. That'd be a great way to start the conversation. I'd love to just say hi. And my Instagram handle is Maria Bayer 1, the number 1. or you can go to mariabayer.com. And we have, if you know that you might want to work with me and you want to talk with me first, you can schedule a discovery call with me and we'll link to that link in the
Great.
show notes.
Yeah, and I think you should definitely do it. You have just a great energy about you. I love being on calls with you. Before we
Oh,
started
thank
recording, we were just having fun playing with different Zoom backgrounds and it was a blast. But now for our rapid fire bonus round. The best weddings have,
The best weddings have their guests in mind.
good answer, good answer. Cocktail hour or dessert hour?
Why do I have to choose?
That's what I say.
Dessert. God didn't. My famous quote is, "God didn't create dessert by accident."
There you go. I remember, I'm just going to take us off track a second. In elementary school, it was a rainy day, so the lunch ladies were reading like fun facts. And one of them was that dessert is stressed spelled backwards, and the lunch ladies could not stop laughing. And they thought it was like the greatest thing. And it's very handy to remember.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. Cookies are my love language. So if anyone wants to send me some cookies,
cookies.
I'll gladly accept them.
What is your favorite social media platform?
All right, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to say Facebook only because I mean I love the beauty of Instagram, but I love Facebook for the conversation because that's really what I'm all about is the conversation and the connection. And to me, it's much easier to connect with people in a more impactful way and have those kinds of conversations on Facebook.
I agree. That makes sense. What was the last book you read?
10x is easier than 2x.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to look that up.
I love it. It really changes the way you look at things that you do in your business and how you can make monumental shifts and how it can give you complete clarity as to what to do next in your business. I love it.
So it's not just the speed I should listen to my audiobooks at.
Exactly.
About
although
10x.
although I'm very guilty of that. I listen to everything on like
Super fast.
1.5 at least.
Yeah. Favorite thing to listen to while working?
I listen to binaural beats a lot, something that doesn't have voices to it,
Yeah.
right? So that I can like think.
And I'm gonna add this one in now, Maria. Favorite Harry Potter book?
Ooh. Oh, that's really I'm gonna have to say the first one because it set the stage for everything and it just gave me my love for Harry Potter. So if you
Yeah.
want to ever connect on Harry Potter, just message me
Yeah.
and we'll tell your listeners, what did I show you before we started the recording?
She has a flippin' time turner. She
I
has
have a
a
time
time
turner right
turner
here.
necklace just at the ready. One's at the ready. Like it's just there.
Yep, I have a time turner. So I love that one too. I don't remember which book that was, but that was a really good one too.
Yeah.
But I love Harry Potter.
Me too. Me too. And I'll cut myself off now, otherwise we'll just be talking about Harry Potter. But this
Maybe we should just have an episode devoted to Harry Potter.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. You gave such wisdom here. And guys, I really encourage you to go ahead and jump on that discovery call or send Maria a message, Facebook and Instagram, at least for sure, right?
I
So
love it.
thank you for being here, Maria. And don't forget to follow and check out the comments in the show notes. Bye
Thank you so
bye.
much, Nina. This was so much fun.